Well, I mean, it seems like I was just up here because I just was up here. So if you could find your way back to your seats, that would be wonderful. Because I have the distinct pleasure. Oh, are you finding you? All right, Mike. Thank you. Yeah, don't run. I mean, don't hustle. I have the distinct pleasure this evening to once again invite our friends from Illusion Theater to provide us this year's version of Real Stories on One Stage. And I'd like to ask all of you to please respect the actors, silence your phones, don't take pictures, and sit back, relax, and enjoy this inspiring and educational piece that Illusion Theater has put a lot of work into. And so without any more delay, let's have a warm welcome for Illusion Theater's Real Stories One Stage.
Welcome. I'm Michael Robbins, the artistic producing director of the Illusion Theater.
And I'm Beth Gilliland, and I'm an artistic associate at the Illusion Theater and also put together the interviews for tonight.
And we are really excited to be here to introduce this presentation and just tell you a little bit about what you're about to see.
Over Zoom this year, Stepping Stone was kind enough to find some residents who were willing to talk with me. And it was a very clumsy process because we couldn't see each other in person. And there was a delayed reaction, a little bit of an echo, but we did it. And so I'm grateful to all of those who were brave enough to tell their story to a complete stranger. And we put those stories together for tonight's presentation.
And this evening, you're going to also see kind of a hybrid version because you will see the individuals that are there in the room with you who will be sharing some of the stories from the interviews we've done. And then also you will jump to the screen and share some of the story songs that we created from the stories and the generosity of the clients at Stepping Stone. And I want to thank Julie very much and her staff for doing such an amazing job in a very challenging year.
And thank you also to all of the residents who, through the years, who have been willing to share their stories and to be so vulnerable with a complete stranger. Not all of them have been used, but all of them have been needed. So thank you very much.
And thank you for your generosity at being here and hopefully for your generosity to support this amazing organization. So without further ado, let's welcome
Real Stories, One Stage.
Hey, what brings you here? What brings you here? Sorry that I have to ask, but what brings you here? Every story's hard luck, everybody gets stuck. Every life can run amok, sit back and buckle. Don't you knuckle under, cause we're here to help you.
Welcome to Stepping Stone Emergency Housing. My name is Amy. I'm your intake specialist. You should know a couple of things right off the bat. First of all, you are welcome to stay as long as you need. We will try to get you established in your own housing within 90 days, but you should not be worried about that right now. Right now, you need to know that we are here to meet your basic needs.
Hey, what brings you here? What brings you here? Sorry that I have to ask, but what brings you here? Every story's hard luck, everybody gets stuck. Every life can run up, sit back and buckle. Don't you knuckle under, cause we're here to help you.
Hi, I'm Raphael, and I want to tell you about all the amenities available to you here at Stepping Stone. We have a full-service cafeteria, which all of our residents help staff. All of our food comes from local businesses and organizations. We also have an exercise room, a computer lab, and an arts and crafts studio. We want you to be sure to feed your mind and soul while we take care of feeding your body and getting you back on your feet.
Hey, what brings you here? What brings you here? Sorry that I have to ask, but what brings you here? Every story's hard luck, everybody gets stuck. Every life can run amok. rock, sit back and buckle, don't you knuckle under, 'cause we're here to help you.
Hey, I'm Tim. You've probably heard a lot about the rules already, but you should know they're in place for everyone's protection. There are quiet hours, privacy rules, and designated waking and sleeping times, as well as shared property and space rules. And we will also help you establish your very own individual goal plan, or IGP, to help you keep you on track with your goal of self-sufficiency. Just remember, we the staff are always here for you.
So what brings you here? What brings you here? We know your hearts are full, and that is what brings you here. We appreciate it. We cannot overstate it. As you contemplate your giving, please remember how we're living. And we truly want to thank you.
So you want to know a little about me? My application's complete, I think, but let me see. I was found in a basket on the steps of a church. Mom and Dad in Yakutsk on an adoption search. A note was attached as I snugly slept there. Said, take care of Iran with Russian viz care. When you're a chameleon, you can get things done if you hide from the sun, and sometimes you run when you're a chameleon. I came here from Brooklyn. My aunt's a tough Boyd. She was strict and she hurt me with fists and with words. I worked in a bookstore and saved all my dough, then left without warning so she wouldn't know. When you're a chameleon, you can get things done if you hide from the sun, and sometimes you run when you're a chameleon. I lost my front teeth in a snowmobile crash. I came into money and got into hash. I soon had no money. I was out on the street. Made it for 2 weeks. Now I'm admitting defeat. When you're a chameleon, you can get things done if you hide from the sun, and sometimes you run when you're a chameleon. I'm a person of interest wherever I go. I'm a concert chameleon who puts on a show. I've been through too much to leave things to chance. My survival's secured by the seat of my pants. I need to keep changing to keep up this dance. I'm a chameleon.
I was born on amphetamines and painkillers, so I was told. They kept me in the hospital for 2 months. I come from a family of 11 kids from 4 different marriages. I was put down constantly and consistently. My father is a guy who believes he who dies with the most toys wins. I've not talked with my mother for more than 2 minutes in all of my life.
I had my own shop in Liberia, my own business, you know. I'm a very handy person. When I had my shop, when I was working, my friends come to me for anything, I give that to them. In my shop, I had a bridal shop because of war in Africa. They must stop bringing things to my shop to sell in Liberia. I was working before I come to this country, so I want to put the same principles here. My generation depended on me. When I was 25 years old, I used to have my own shop and everything. My father died, and my mother was depending on me. I used to do everything for them, you see.
What do you see when you see a burlap bag? I see vertical agriculture. Yep. Burlap is a neutral carbon fiber. You add pockets and dirt, and you have a vertical garden that doesn't need to be weeded. You see that big truck that's out there, out the window? That's a farmer picking up 400 pounds of bread for his pigs that we can't use here. And it could be 75 pounds of bread, and it would still be worth the fuel that he uses to get here. 3% of the world's population uses 87% of the resources. Mexican kids see truckloads of food that they helped harvest, hauled away, and they don't get any of it. This country is the only non-third world nation in the free world where its citizens are not provided with free medical care and free university education. I will not participate in a corrupt government. I will fight the unconventional fight. I know of a restaurant equipment store. I'll bet that they could supply a professional oven so that culinary classes could be taught here. If we had a system that could connect Stepping Stone with Second Harvest, with Cisco Foods, with and the resources could be shared, yeah, some of that bread could go to people who could use it. I've worked at an agricultural-based power plant on an oil field. I've worked in farm management, CNC work. Most of my work's agriculture. I can get $10, $12 an hour working in a hog barn, at a dairy. I'm an agricultural superstar.
Things happened with the immigration and myself here. I couldn't get my paper. When I come here in this country, you know, I come from war in my country, in Liberia. War over there. I came in this country and I used to work on TPS, Temporary Protected Status. And I was working at a nursing home in life insurance. I was with Merrill Lynch. I was doing a lot for myself because I didn't want to put my burden on anyone, to be a liability on somebody. But because the immigration gave me so hard time, my TPS expired. I wrote them, then they said they can't give it to me because it expired. So I said, well, how do you want me to live when you can't give me the TPS? For every year I would apply for it, pay for it. They would not give it me, and they would not send the money back. I tried my best, but I had the impression they were laughing at me. I left my children in Liberia for war. If war had not come to Liberia, I've been gone back a long time. So I was hustling to help my mom and my children back home. I saved money. I stayed up many years to get paper to go back home so I can try at least to go and see my children. It breaks my heart. I think about my daughters in Liberia. I have not seen them for 34 years. I want to see my children before I die. When you hate one person, You hurt a whole generation of that person.
My dad ran a meth lab out of the house. I was raised to be an asshole by a bigger asshole than I, who convinced me that he was a model person and that everyone else was worthy of the way that he treated them, myself included. It was only after I quit methamphetamine that I realized his behavior was the result of a closet addiction. I was known as the kid who walked the tracks. I read books and I walked the railroad tracks behind our house to get away from the craziness. Out west, I was project manager. I had 45 tenants. I had to do an eviction one time off-site, and word must have got around because when I got out of the car, I was attacked with a baseball bat. My neck got messed up. My broken ribs, collapsed lung. As the ambulance was taking me to the hospital, I said, "Tell my dad I wasn't doing anything wrong." My neck's been a problem ever since I was assaulted. I've been to see so many doctors. Stepping Stone arranged for me to go see a chiropractor. Because of the money that I owe the state of Montana where I was attacked, I'm bankrupt. Someone suggested that I sue the hospital due to the complications that I've had from the surgeries. Sue the hospital? That hospital saved my life. I was out of work for 18 weeks. A workman's comp attorney costs $15,000. Try to find a pro bono lawyer when you're homeless. Society treats us as the onlys. We are born indebted, we die indebted. We are the onlys. We're only going to be where they want us. Keep quiet, keep your head down. Don't draw attention to yourself. It seems like psychologically, I keep throwing hand grenades into my own path. Once I got back to Minnesota, I was speeding, and a cop started chasing me. His car turned over in a ditch, and I thought, I got away. Well, I was convicted for evading an officer in a motor vehicle. I did 13 months for that. It turns out that evading an officer is a felony. A friend of mine said to me, whoa, weren't you concerned about the officer? Didn't you think to check if he was all right? My friend was right. That hadn't even occurred to me. Where would I have learned empathic skills? In my family? I received a $20,000 judgment.
So I get used to go from friend to friend, and they ill-treat me. All kinds of ways they ill-treat me. I went with one girl in her house, and when I stay at her place, everything burned down. Everything got burned down for me, and I had nothing. And her boyfriend told me I could not live there with them. So I go and stay with another girl and her boyfriend. Staying there. But I got sick. I had this cancer. And I was so sick. They had me go to St. Mary's Charity Care. And St. Mary's Charity Care helped me up. They sent me to the hospital. They were to take out the cancer. I was stage 2.5. And they take out the cancer. So I go back to this girl and her boyfriend, and they ill-treat me. I used to help them with their children to pay for the rent. I had no money to pay rent to them, so they were helping me. They got sick with the COVID. And when they got sick, they put it on me. They say I'm the one who made them sick with the COVID, so I have to go. I was living upstairs in the attic. They went and called the ambulance to come and get me. I was not even expecting it. So I went when the ambulance came, they called me. They just took me to the hospital. I said, I have no COVID. I'm not sick. I have no fever or nothing. So I go back to the house. The next day, they called the hospital and come get me again. The boy, he was so violent to me. He grabbed me from upstairs, dragged me downstairs, say I had to leave the place because I did not want to go for the COVID in the house from him. So I went to the doctor in the Mercy Hospital. They give me the test and everything, and then they tell me to go home. So I told them, I have nowhere to stay. I don't have anywhere to be. I've been living like this since 2007, when they took the papers from me. So at a later hour, they called Katante. I know Katante. She helped me and brought me to Stepping Stone last June. And Jackie has been very, very, very kind to me. If it wasn't for Jackie, I wouldn't live. This is not the reason why I came to America.
My parents were strict. My mama was sick. My dad was a drunk. My childhood, it stunk. I got troubles galore, and you can be sure optimism's not the way I usually see the world. But honey, there's a thought that keeps me going through the day, when I've got nothing but depression in my way. A thing that keeps me from wishing I was dead. It snuggles me sweet, I'll be the retreat to my sleep number bed, with a 58 here and a 58 there. This is a part of my life I don't have to share. I find I'm often missing it. My story is sad now, isn't it? But you know I love my perfect sleep number bed. Now, did I tell you about my back? Titanium here, titanium there. My back's full of screws, right here it's been fused. I'm in so much pain that would drive you insane. Half the time I'm on the verge of tearing out my hair. But darling, there's a thought that offers me some relief. A little peaceful feeling, even if it's brief. The thing that keeps me from wishing I was dead. I'll get off my feet, I'll slip in the sheets of my sleep number bed, with a 58 here and a 58 there. This is a part of my life I don't want to share. I find I'm often missing it. My story is sad now, isn't it? But you know I love my perfect sleep number bed. So how did I end up here, you ask? My husband, he ran off with our van. Won't pay what he owes, got my mortgage foreclosed. The banks after me. So darling, you see, the 7 years I've been here feel like eternity. But darling, there's a treasure off in storage somewhere, and it's calling out to me each day, I can't swear. The thing that keeps me from wishing I was dead. Imagine the sight when I reunite with my sleep number bed, with a 58 here and a 58 there. This is a part of my life I never can share. I find I'm often missing it. My story is sad now, isn't it? But you know I love my perfect sleep number bed. Yes, you know I love my perfect sleep number bed. Maybe you should get one too. Sleep number bed.
Follow that. Yeah, one more time for the first act. Nice job, Illusions Theater.
Anybody own stock in Sleep Number bed? They might want to get that video. That was great. It's stories like these that they're sharing with you tonight that really tell the story of some of the people that are at Stepping Stone and some of the struggles that they've had. And it's just great to have these great actors and actresses here tonight to really show and tell it to you. So I'm glad they're here. We're really appreciating that. We got a second act coming up pretty quick here, so it's going to be pretty exciting. I know that for a fact. While we take this little break, we'd like to ask you to please think about the stories that you've heard and the impact that Stepping Stone Emergency Housing has made on so many lives over the years, and consider making a generous donation to the cause. Tonight we are hoping you, together with our generous sponsors, will help us meet our goal of $45,000 tonight. And to kick us off, I'm happy to announce that the Otto Bremer Trust has stepped in to offer a matching grant of $5,000.
All
so
right,
that's great.
$5,000. Thanks a lot, Otto Bremer.
And Michael?
Yeah, I listen, I couldn't say it any better. I will tell you that now's the time, after hearing those stories, as moving as they are, just a reminder, those are real stories, as the title indicates. Those are stories told by residents of our own Stepping Stone Emergency Housing organization. They aren't stories that are fabricated or made up. And in all of those cases, we were able to step in and provide the assistance and guidance that they needed to find their way out of homelessness, as you can hear, in their most desperate times. So I'd like you to absolutely consider how you might be able to donate to that cause. If you're wondering how to donate, it's the same app that you used as a part of the silent auction. So you don't have to go out and get a new app and learn how to log into something. And there's an option in there to actually buy different donation levels. But I'll tell you what, I'd like to invite the executive director of Stepping Stone Emergency Housing, Julie Jepson, to the stage, if you wouldn't mind. Let's hear it for Julie Jepson. And I'd like for her to actually spend a few minutes with you and tell a story from her perspective that I think will help illustrate the wonderful work that we do and the wonderful work that is yet to be done to ensure we can help as many people as possible. Thanks, Julie.
It is so surreal being in front of people, right? And it is lovely being in front of so many familiar faces and friends. Whew, I'm a little nervous. Sorry, I'm not usually like this. So I first want to take a couple minutes to say thank you to a number of people. Thank you so much to our sponsors, to the lovely people who are here tonight. There are many things that you allow us to do that we couldn't do without you. So thank you. I'd like to thank the volunteers who made this night absolutely beautiful and possible. So I don't want to forget anyone, so I'm going to read my list. Amy, Marcia, Denise, Leah, and Barb, thank you so much. And to the staff, Valerie and Jeff, thank you so much. So we have a number of staff here tonight, and a number of those who couldn't be here either. And I try and say this as much as absolutely possible because it's so true, and I talk about this place as much as I possibly can. And I always say that our staff are amazing. You work tirelessly every single day doing some of the hardest work imaginable. And you do it with such grace and humility. You are amazing people who do it without question. You don't know what you're walking into in a day, and you do it because you have to, and you do it because there are people who are needing the help the most. So thank you. Thank you, too, to the wonderful professionals of Illusion Theater. They are amazing. they take the time and hear the respect and give the respect back to our residents in creating an amazing performance that cannot be easy in a very short amount of time. So thank you, Illusion Theater. But most importantly, I need to thank the brave and courageous men and women who make real stories possible. It's through your stories that we are here tonight, and I thank you so much for being vulnerable so that we can take the briefest moment and learn from you and understand you. Thank you. So in preparing for tonight, you know, I'm preparing my little speech and seeing everyone for the first time in a year and a half, right? I was really struggling. I really didn't know what I was going to talk about because for me, I keep asking myself, how am I going to communicate to you or to tell you what being homeless is like? What this journey is like for people, because I will never, most likely never know. I have lived a very, very lucky, very free, mostly free of worry life. And it's their stories that make a difference. It's their stories that really get you to understand the task and the determination that it takes them to get through the journey of homelessness. I have never known, nor will I most likely ever know, what it is to do without. To do without family. To do without friends. To do without a home. And to do without a support system. So instead, I thought I'd talk about what I do know. And that's my family. And I started thinking back to what my life looked like over the last couple weeks. And Nate and I, we have a couple kids. They're pretty cool. And we have a daughter that, like many of you, have end of school activities. And she had an activity a couple weeks ago. And I never even thought for a moment about the purchases that I needed to make in order to support her in this activity. I never even considered for a second saving money to pay for the purchases that were required. And so in telling this story and giving this visual, I believe that I'm able to show you who and what Stepping Stone is and why we matter. So for this one event, I used my computer to buy her an outfit. I used my cell phone to make and pay for a hair appointment. Sorry, Ren. I used my car to drive to the activity. And on the way there, I had to fill it up with a tank of gas. And then afterwards, we didn't want to cook dinner or clean up after dinner, so we went out to eat, got a bite to eat. So this one event in my life took literally 15 minutes, cost $250, right? Now, this scenario, I have to believe, is not unusual for those of us in this room. It's pretty common occurrence, especially when you have kiddos. But it represents an evening that is played out over and over and over in our lives. And in many respects, it's not insurmountable costs. But in every respect, we think of it as just those basic needs that are part of what we have to spend. Oops. You didn't need to know that. Sure. Thanks, Corey. So, but for those struggling with homelessness, even the most minor expenses, even a simple haircut, are monumental. And thoughts on, should I save for that? And what else am I not going to spend money on in order to do that? So this is where Stepping Stone comes in, and this is the beauty of what Stepping Stone is. We provide a safe spot where people can get their footing, take a deep, worry-free breath, and have calm and have the chaos put aside and have basic needs met that they don't have to even think about or worry about. Basic needs of hot shower, 3 meals a day, 3 healthy, quality meals a day, and a safe and clean environment to live. Even these small items that we never think about in a day are monumental for our residents. We offer a caring community that so few have, but are so vital to all. It doesn't matter what's in your bank account. We all have to have community. So after a resident has stayed for a couple weeks or a couple months, they're finally stable in their employment and they can finally think about maybe looking for an apartment, which is amazing. So we give them the freedom to start thinking outside of homelessness and outside of Stepping Stone. But at this point, there are so many other expenses to even consider. First of all, how do you find the money to even apply for an apartment? It's $40 to fill out an application, let alone cleaning supplies, furnishing the apartment, personal hygiene items, toilet paper. We know how valuable toilet paper was this past year, right? And a vacuum and even bedding. But most important of everything we do, we provide an environment that allows residents to envision and hope for a future. A future that doesn't have anything to ever do with experiencing homelessness again. But unfortunately, so this is where some of the biggest expenses come in. And 3 of the biggest are first month's, last month's rent, and damage deposit. And for our residents who are lucky enough to be able to save $1,500 for those 3 things, when they can't even consider getting a $10, $20 haircut, how is it possible to save $1,500? My friends, it's not. That's the answer. It's not possible. But you know what is possible? It is because of you. Oh, yes, now it comes back. Now we know why we're here, right? I am asking you tonight to give generously to what your heart is telling you to give. I'm asking you to give to fund a future of somebody else's life. A life like Nick, who came to Stepping Stone with frostbitten fingers and toes because he was living outside during a Minnesota winter. A life like Diane, who was renting a room from someone suffering from severe dementia, and she was scared for her life. And a life like Marcus, whose staff accidentally saw his back, and there were healed lash marks from him being beaten. These are real stories. These are real people, and they deserve a real future. So there are a number of ways you can give. On your table, as Mike and Michael said, there's a QR code that leads you to where you could bid for the silent auction. There are suggested categories or levels in funding some of the things that I mentioned, but 2, there's an opportunity for you to fill in a blank and give, again, to what your heart is telling you to give. There's also forms and envelopes on your table that if you'd like to fill that out, put the form in the envelope and give it to staff as you're exiting tonight, that would be lovely. And please remember that we're trying so hard to reach the $5,000 match from Otto Bremer Trust, and we'd love to accomplish that tonight. So before I ask Illusion Theater back up here, I just want you to know that when you give to us, you partner with us. You are now our partner. You're now our friend, and you now mean so much to us. And so when you partner with us, you go beyond the basics. You help a resident take their first and hopefully final steps on the stepping stone path towards self-sufficiency. And they're starting a new life that doesn't include homelessness. So thank you. Thank you for taking the risk and coming out here this evening and sharing your free night with us. So appreciated. And just so much being a part of funding that future. So I want to welcome Illusion Theater back to finish up the performance, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
My parents divorced when I was 2 years old. I was terrified of my dad. We had to eat our meals in silence. If we didn't, we'd get spanked. He spanked me if I cried. We would all walk on eggshells. He's bipolar and has PTSD. I moved from my dad's to live with my mom and my stepdad when I was 7 years old. They fought all the time. Me and my stepfather butted heads. I was always fighting and screaming with him. I left home when he got creepy. My mom would go to work and he would wake me up. It was too early to go to school, and he said the only way he would let me go back to sleep is if I laid in bed next to him. He wanted to take me bra shopping. I was depressed and emotional, and I started having panic attacks. So they sent me to a mental health facility. I told the people at the mental health place how creepy my stepdad was, but they said he hadn't committed any crime. And because I couldn't go back there, I ran away. The police found me. Because I was 17, they called Child Protective Services. They told me I was choosing to be homeless. I dropped out of 10th grade. I was shy. I didn't talk to anyone. I had 200 hours of detention. My mom said, "Go ahead, ruin your life." For 6 months, I lived in trailers. Sometimes I could stay on the floor at my boyfriend's house or at his boss's house, or I'd sleep in a shed or sit in McDonald's or Cub Foods until they kicked me out. We slept in porta potties. People would always stare at me when I came out of the bathroom with wet hair, when I washed it at Taco Bell. One night, a nice couple saw me and my boyfriend in front of a store with our bikes. They asked us what we were doing there, and when they came out, they gave us a sandwich to share and a bag of groceries. My boyfriend and I bought a tent. We had 2 bikes and a trailer. We rode between Coon Rapids, Blaine, and Anoka, sleeping in parks with 1 blanket between us. We were wakened by cops who would search us. The way we got help was we had to reach for it. It was hard. So when people would say, "Why aren't you in school?" I would say, "I'm not concerned with school. I just want to figure out how to survive today." Being here is a huge blessing for me. I have my own bed, a closet full of clothes, and a storage trunk. There's a computer lab and a library. Stepping Stone helped me get my government assistance, SNAP, and EBT card. This experience has made me more resilient and empathetic toward others. If I wasn't here at Stepping Stone, I'd be outside. I don't want to be outside. There are people who have lived here for over a year. 15 months. They found a job, saved money, got job security, an apartment. I have appreciation for my bed here. I don't have to pack my stuff up every morning. I have somewhere warm to sleep. I have food in my stomach. And they care. They really care. They really care.
I'm sure that soon enough I'll be back working in southern Minnesota, up to my knees in shit, castrating hogs. That's where they want me. I'm not a bum. Just because you're homeless does not mean you're a bum. I'm not a vulnerable adult. I'm an angry adult.
Jackie enrolled lawyer for me to helping me with my paper. They send me paperwork for work, for me. Where am I going to work when I am 70 years of age? I lost everything. Where would I go? What would I do in my life? Jackie follow up on my paper business. She's been helping me. I don't know how to thank her for what she has done for me. I pray abundantly for Jackie for what she has done for me. She's so kind to me. She's very kind to me. So, that's my situation for right now. For 34 years I've been here. Not one policeman come to my door. I thought my life was going to be better. It's like a river has come between me and my children, or a sea has come between me and my children. And I'm blocked. It's like they are not living, and I am not living. They can't see me. I can't see them. So you can talk my story out, my suffering too much. My life go down to zero. I could write a book about. There's more to my life. There's more to what people say to me in this country. There's more.
Back on my feet, standing up tall, sober and free from the darkness.
This is my dream when I'm awake, living in this in-between place.
With the space to figure it out, where I'm safe and sound.
One step is enough now, even if I have a long way to go. I can walk on, believing that I have a hand to hold, one step at a time.
Now I imagine what lies ahead, even though I cannot see it.
Hope is alive somewhere inside. Give me the strength to believe it.
When I'm wandering, these stepping stones, they will show me the way.
One step is enough now, even if I have a long way to go. I can walk on, believing that I have a hand to
Okay, so I'm a mess. Going a little off script here. Okay, sorry. So, this kind of rocked my world. Kind of came full circle for me. So, Olivia. Sorry, let me step back. So I've been working for Stepping Stone for 9 years. There are 2 days that I vividly remember. One I'm not going to talk about. 2 was the day that I walked into the shelter and I saw Olivia's picture hanging up. Her obituary picture. She killed herself. She was 18. A beautiful soul. And I'm talking tonight about not funding homelessness, because you're not funding someone's homelessness, you're funding someone's potential of a future. But sometimes a future doesn't happen. And that's the reality of the individuals we're working with. So I thank you for being here tonight. I so appreciate you supporting our cause and the people we serve. Again, we cannot do it without you. Our residents cannot do it without you. So thank you. If you have won a silent auction item, please pick it up and check out with our staff as you leave. If you filled out a form and put it in an envelope, thank you very much. And again, drop it off to our staff as you're leaving. But for anyone who didn't win a silent auction or give, that's fine. But please always remember, again, you're not funding homelessness. You're funding a future. Or you're funding someone who has a moment at our shelter, who can find calm and be okay for just a little bit. Thank you and good night.